Well, hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good to have you here. I see you, Jan, Susan Wilson, General Kenobi. My name is Paul Trani. Today we're going to cover pop art portrait. So just doing something more interesting with a portrait photo, and this is a Photoshop Masterclass. So we're going to be dealing with Photoshop. We could also do this in Illustrator. Kind of depends on what you want to do, but you know, I think you can do it just as easily in Photoshop, and you have a lot of control. So good to have you here. Hello, Cody Bear. Good to see you, Michelle. Warm welcome to you all. Audio and video is good. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Bobby Orlando's in the house. Yeah, it's been a long week. Can I just say that? Busy. But I'm glad to be here, and this is kind of, you know, my favorite time of the week, to be honest with you, because we cover fun stuff like this. So this is what I mean when I say pop art portrait. You can literally like Google it. That's all I did here, and you can see a number of images. Just like they have a lot of pop, right? You might think of Andy Warhol, that sort of thing, you know, his Marilyn Monroe portraits. So kind of along those lines is what we're going to be doing, right? I'll show you the easy way, but then we'll really get into sort of refining the details. I personally like some of these with this angular look is really cool, right? So how can we do this in Photoshop easily? That's what we're going to cover. So let me know how you're doing. Hello from Maryland, Andrea. Oh, Andrea, I didn't know you were in Maryland. My younger brother is in Maryland, so that's awesome. So number of images, by the way, you can see actually all of them. Let's just tile all these images that I currently have available to me. So let's even move me over, I noticed. Let's put me on the other side so it might be easier to see. Zip. So we can see this one actually looks like it's already pop art to begin with. That's the easiest. You know which one's going to be the hardest out of all these is this dark moody one that I might go with it. So these are some images. Like honestly, I don't know where I got them all, but I do know where I got these last two, like this one and this one. All I did is I used this plugin called Free Stock Search 2 Pro. Okay, so that will just give me this panel right here. You could do a search for portrait like I already did, and sure enough, it pulls those up. So that's what I like to use. That's just a resource for you. In fact, we could probably do the same thing if we went out to stock.adobe.com, stock.adobe.com. Let's just see what happens if we do like, I'm sure we're gonna get a ton this way as well. So all you need to do is change this to free, and then you can do portrait, okay? You're going to get portrait, you're going to get images, you're going to get vector images, all sorts of things. Like, look at that. Oh, that's kind of cool. No, I already licensed it. Licensing it as free, but just really cool. This one, again, already has kind of a pop art look. So many cool images. So again, we'll re-download this for free and open this up, and let's get this party started. It is Friday. Oh, look at this. Gorgeous. I mean, come on. To some degree, I'm like, this image is so good. You know what? I don't know if making it a pop art portrait is going to do it any favors. But there's also this one. So you're going to have some dark images. You could always do this. I usually jump in. I'll go to Levels, because Levels has an easy button where you can just click Auto. Bing, right? It'll go through, and of course, auto adjust all the levels to brighten it up some. But yeah, let's just have some fun today, shall we? Is that okay? Today's coffee of choice is Michigan Cherry, and it's going to be it's really good. Yeah, let's just get this party started. I'm going to increase the canvas size. The width and height are going to be the same, so we're going to expand this out. We're going to make sure we get enough of this image all squared away. We'll go through. We can select subject. It's just a button that you can click at the top here, right? But it's also right over here, select subject. Anytime you have a pixel-based layer. Right, there she is, right? We can go ahead and click, you know, and it does a pretty good job of capturing a lot of it. Let's refine that edge. So of course the first thing we want to do is kind of like isolate this image. So that's what I'm doing now, using refine edge, brush tool, you know, just kind of grabbing a little bit more of her hair there. And that's all I want to do. Click OK. I'm good to go. Let me check over on if you're joining me elsewhere too. Afrosia, awesome. You are so kind. So, anyways, I'd usually take this, convert it to a smart object, and do a number of things. But let's just kind of work on this right now. I'll grab my... I need to kind of continue that shoulder a little bit more is what I need to do. So let's sample that area. Hit B for brush, right click. You know, just continue this shoulder. So that's kind of the current problem with this image. You know, I kind of need to extend it down. I'm not going to worry about that too much, but let's take that. Let's actually make that look a little bit darker. There we go. That's all we're doing is just adding like a little bit like so. Okay, so a little bit more of her arm right there since it got cut off. It got cut off on the other side. There we go. Let's convert this to a smart object and get this party started. Rick H, good to see you. Got to see Rick H this week, by the way. Came into town, which was super cool. Got to get together with him and Howard Pinsky and Julia Vaca, which is probably the largest gathering of community people and Adobe employees since 2020. So it was awesome. Here we are. We have this image. Let's just go ahead and do some pop art looks to it. We could add a background. I'm going to jump in there. Boom, boom. Gradients. And we'll make this fast. This image is huge, by the way. I probably should have shrunk it down before going through this whole process. I still might do that. Let's do image size. Let's shrink this down to like 2,000. Because it's just going to be too big. Processing is going to take a while. And I just don't need it that big. Okay. There we go. Gradients. Let's take a look at our resource photo out here. Pop art portraits. A lot of times they'll actually be like solid color or bands of color. So maybe I want to open up my swatches panel. Here's swatches as well. Drop that off to the side. And again, just kind of drop that on there. And add a splash of color. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah, buddy. This is also what I'm going to do. Because did you notice I have this levels outside of this layer. I'm not crazy about this. I don't really like to work that way. There's probably 6 different ways. There's 3 different ways I typically would add this. I could add this as an adjustment layer, but also if you just hit levels, Command L, that brings up your levels panel, right? Over here, look, we still have the auto button, but bam, right, that we can apply. What happens in this case is now we have levels underneath here. So we have levels applied as a smart filter. I like this because it's just kind of nested away. I can delete that and have this nested right in here. The third way is actually opening this up in here and then having your levels inside of here. Just click auto. There you go. So 3 different ways to add. Wait for it. Did it do anything? We'll just brighten it up ourselves like that. 3 different ways to add levels to it. Cool. Cool. Let's move on. What's my favorite site for stock photos? I'm going to, of course, say Adobe Stock, typically. So if you're asking me, Michelle, I would say Adobe Stock because if I do, look, I have there's 109,000 results for portrait that are available to me for free, which is crazy. And my second answer is all of the others, because that's what Free Stock Search Pro does. So it searches Unsplash and all those other ones, you know, Pexels and all that fun stuff. So that's my answer. Hold on one second. Alexa. All right, I'm back. Here we are. Let's have some fun with this. A couple different ways to do this. We could do color halftone. Do you want to try that? We could do color halftone. So these are sort of like the 3 different ways right in here. Color halftone, I could use threshold for contrast, and then there's also a halftone pattern. This is just the beginning of all of this. But let's do color halftone. Super easy. We'll go to filter, pixelate, and sure enough, here's color halftone. Selecting that, yours might be defaulting to 10, and then all of these are the channel offsets. Does anybody know what these are? It should be CMYK. It should be CMYK because you're developing a halftone pattern, so it should be CMYK. I'm gonna take this to like 20, and then I'm just gonna like zero these out. Right, let's see what happens when we do that. We're going to try this at this new size. That's at the 20 size, which is way too big. But it's kind of going the way we want to go. So we'll go to back into color halftone. This is typically the process. It takes a couple times. We'll try 10. 10's looking a little bit better. I still get these weird, you know, I think we'll go even, I don't know, maybe a touch smaller, shall we? Color halftone, 6, too small. And this is the process. I usually go through this. What gets to be important is like, you know, how do you want your viewers to view this? If they're going to be viewing it large, yeah, it looks kind of cool, extra large, like so. Okay, if they're going to be viewing it smaller, then we want to increase the size. So yeah, I think 10 is actually the way to go after experimenting with those others. Right, but I'm probably gonna, I would want to crop in on her a little bit more, okay? So that's one sort of pattern. Notice how I don't quite have the contrast or threshold cranked up. Let's try that again. Let's go in here because we can, inside of here, we can add threshold. So again, just to recap, I was using levels earlier, and all this is behind my head. Sorry about that. Bam. We'll go to threshold. So threshold works similarly to good old levels, but it actually obviously gives you even more contrast. So this is my default. But you can see I could drag this to the left or right, and this gives me that stark black and white. So I'll drag that up just to make sure we get a little more color on our face. And this is going to totally change my results. It's going to make it look a lot better. All right, I don't get why there are definite lines. Yeah, there's like, did you notice that pattern, Rick? Yeah, I noticed that pattern as well. But this is much better, like this look. So let's save this. Let's close that. Yeah, this is going to be even better right in here. Having this strong look is going to make a big difference. So again, we'll go back in here. Color halftone. I really wish we got a preview at this point. But look at how much better that looks. So the problem wasn't my halftone. The problem was the contrast with the photo. It's fun to stay at the CMYK. Plugin was called Free Stock Search 2 Pro. But I encourage you to just browse plugins because that's like one of many, by the way. That's going to open up your Creative Cloud desktop app. Here it is. Free Stock Search 2. I did the Pro version. I gave them 20 bucks because, hey, they're worth it. It allows me to download the high-res versions of those photos. But there's also this one. Here's another one, stock solo as well, which actually has higher ratings. So that's interesting. So yeah, that's where I got it. And here's where I'm at. So what I would do in the background is I would add like my own sort of gradient or halftone pattern to the background as well. Sure, it's currently a solid color. We want to have some more fun with it. It's, you know, really doesn't matter. You know, here's a gradient, for instance. We do need to make that a smart object, and then we'll go through color halftone again, right? So here's my color halftone, sort of doing that on the background, and we can see all those little dots and that gradient and all that good stuff. It's kind of like, it kind of hurts my eyes. It looks better, so much better when we're close like this. Like I like this a lot better. Okay. This gradient actually is not fully like sort of black and white, is it? Paul, why'd you break it? Let's go in here and see what's up. Did you guys ever have this happen? It's because, actually, you know what? I have no idea. I currently cannot figure out why that is, has a little bit of green in there. But let's just take it away. Okay, there we are. We're back. All right. Then I'd start throwing a ton of color in here. So, you know, bring back this color fill, right? And now we can change that to darken, right? So this just gives me the control to change the color a little bit easier, just so you know. And come in here, change this to red. Or you know me, I'd probably do hot pink, right? It gets a little 80s, but still, I'm into it, right? Same thing here. We want to add from my swatches, sort of new layer, drop on, say that color, make it a clipping, mask, and then change the color like so. Okay, cool. All right, good. I'm not the only one. So this is pretty cool. I'm kind of thinking about like having the dots be a different color. Cause like if we look at all these examples out here, you know, there is this, you know, we basically kind of created a halftone version. There's this posterized version. There are blacks in it. I'm just like wondering if instead of using black, we use like a dark blue. Okay. One way to do that is to use gradient map. So I'm going to try this gradient map. There's actually two different ways we could do this. We could do a gradient map, or what we could do is we could have another swatch. It's going to be purple, clipped, but this time I'm changing the blend mode to this second group right here. So this is going to replace the light colors. These are going to replace the dark colors. I think of it's the reverse of what it says. That just helps me with in my brain. So again, just changing that to lighten. There we go. We could see we've replaced that black with that purple, and that just like looks better in my opinion. Let's move that down beneath like so, and we've done the same for the black back here. So we have it. We have our dark colors. There's a very interesting like sort of pattern taking place, but I would say this one's like pretty much done for our example. And honestly, what I would do in this case is I would start to actually crop this. So yeah, I think it just needs to be cropped. Would you agree? Let's change the canvas size to 1080 because I'm going to make this for Instagram. Right? Cropping it in, we get just what I think is just like a little bit cooler look. Potentially. Something kind of like that. I don't know. That's a start. That's just one way. I want to get into other ways to do this because I went through all that work. Caroline Sajad, hello. But also, I actually have this halftone pattern that I can also use. So let's take our second image. So we could take even this guy, this lady. Yeah, let's go with this guy. Let's do it. So instead of going to our color halftone, we're going to go to filter gallery. But before I do that, I'm going to convert this to a smart object. Going into filter gallery and selecting underneath sketch, we have halftone pattern. So we'll select that. Sure enough, excellent job. Great job. It did the thing. How do you get rid of the grid lines? That's a good question. You would probably use this halftone pattern because it gets rid of the grid lines. But look at how clean this looks already. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Notice off to the side, I can change the size of these dot patterns, right? This halftone pattern from large to small. And this is sort of what I want. I want this like immediate response. Like let's crank it up to there, you know, for instance, up say to 6. Contrast is about halfway. And then you can even change the dot type. So, or the pattern type. So over here, we can change this to a circle. It's going to give you a circle kind of radiating from the center. Zoop. I've never found a use for this. I mean, it's still going to be kind of cool. But that circle, let's change it to line. You can see we have these lovely scan lines, right? But now that we know this, we can start to sort of combine some of these in interesting ways. All right, so I'm going to cancel out of this. I'm going to go back in here. We have this awesome guy. Let's take let's go to the properties panel. Let's start to separate it out because I want to use some of those different techniques on different ones. So we're going to remove background, the magic button. Come on now, remove background. Boom, creates this. So now we'll have, you know, the background and then the portrait. And then what we can even do is we start to separate this out even more because I'm thinking, okay, for his shirt, yeah, let's have his shirt be separate as well. Let's select his shirt. There we go. Let's invert it. Fill. Turn that off. There we go. B for brush. There we go. I just selected the blue. I was able to select his shirt because we want his shirt to be like a different pattern as well. Fantastic. Shirt. Portrait. Background. Now let's have our fun filter gallery. This is the background. You're probably wondering why. Does anybody know why it's turning blue? For the background, I'm really going to crank it up because I think it'll look cooler. Actually, for the background, maybe I want to go with a line or a circle pattern. Let's do that. Let's do a circle pattern for the background. Click OK. Where does that purple come from? Well, you can see right over here. It's coming from our sampled foreground color. It's going to come from our foreground color. Can you see that? So if I change this, it's of course going to change everything else. So I'm going to change this, at least for his shirt. We're going to change this to a pink, right? Change that to pink. We're going to go into our filter gallery. This time I'm going to select the lines. Let's zoom out. And it's going to give him like these striped lines on his shirt. Again, I might change it. But just playing with it right now. So there's his sort of striped shirt. Now we'll go to the actual portrait itself. This time we're going to change again the color again. What color do we need now? An orange? Orange might not be dark enough. Maybe we go with like a teal. I don't know. We need like a darker. Let's just try a dark teal. It's fine, right? Let's go in here. Filter gallery. And this is where we're going to use this dots. Like so. Increase the contrast. Maybe take down the size. Something like that. Click OK. Boom, there we go. There's our pop art kind of separated out into 3 different colors. Time changes around. Okay. Just checking chat, seeing what's everybody's up to. Looks like old school copy paper, yeah. I get like Roy Lichtenstein comic book vibes from some of this. That's kind of where this is leaning. I still like the use of like sort of replacing white. I would go through that same process. We need to replace this background white with like a different color. Totally. So I'm glad you mentioned that. It's like very newspapery currently. So let's grab a color, drop it right there. And what did we learn? Hey, changing this to say darken, for instance. And hey, trying different colors. Ooh, blue. Right, something like that. Let's have some fun, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good day, huh? How's everybody doing? You're too young to remember that ink. Hey, man. Okay, Carol, just so you know, I'm older than you think. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. One of my first jobs in our industry was actually, I worked for a very small newspaper, and I literally used a wax machine. I would like have to print out the articles and the artwork, use a wax machine, put wax on the back of the paper so you could stick it on and do the layouts with a wax paper and ruby lith. I used to cut ruby lith. It's crazy. So again, you can see I could dropped in that. That's yellow. Kind of changes the color a little bit. Interesting. So yeah, I'm not too young to remember some of these references. Does anybody know what I'm saying when I say ruby lith? Does anybody have any? I even like yellow there. That looks good. I might even like, I think I might stop right here for this one. I think this is looking pretty good. And again, I'd kind of go through and start to crop it. Oh, there, PJ remembers. Remember like a wax machine? This is crazy. Try not to burn myself. Ruby lith, remember that? Oh, clever Devlin, awesome. Oh, I'm glad I got some of you can commiserate with me. I used to work in airbrush. I used to airbrush the covers of this newspaper. I used airbrush because that was cool at the time. You know, oh, it's just funny. And one time I went way too dark. One thing I learned when you're doing newspaper print, don't use a lot of black, because I got in trouble. I created an awesome picture of the Grim Reaper with an airbrush, and my boss was like, you used way too much black, because when people pick it up, they just get that black ink all over their hands. So, I don't know. It was fun. Oh, ruby lith, amber lith, same thing, right? So one's obvious like a ruby red color, the other one's more amber. Mine actually might have been, I don't remember if it was ruby or amber, but one of the two. All right, that's how it works. Man, I miss those days. But do I really? Okay, let's take a look. Hit tab. We've already knocked out two different ways. We can see them like right down here. But we still have a number of images we can work with different ways as well. There's one. Here's the second one. I kind of like it, but let's take it to the next level. with this one. Let's make it happen. Pop art portraits. Technically number 3. Let's do this dance. Because this one, again, more ways of working this out. Again, cutting her out. We have the background. We have the foreground. Let's take this. Smart object. Done. Filter. I want to posterize. So let's check this out. Because my next thought is to go and do something kind of like this, right? Where you have these bands of color, which is gonna be interesting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Doritos are like Cheetos. Those are the two that, yeah. That's how. You want some fingerprints? Have some Cheetos. All right, we want skulls. So do I. Always. Well, let's take a look at this. Because I'm going to go down in here. We have this right here, Posterize. We'll select Posterize. We're going to get these levels, as you can see in the Properties panel. Great. What you could use this for is merely like as a sort of like selection. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. You could use this as a sort of a way to select, which might work. Or you can sort of, I would say, you know, like rasterize and smudge. An easy way is to go through and rasterize and smudge. So what do I mean by that? Let's go Command J, merge layers. So this is kind of the rasterize way of doing things, but it gets us like the fastest results. Okay, so here she is. It's just so darn grainy, right? And it's because we went straight from the photo to posterize. And what did we learn earlier? It's that you actually have to throw threshold in there, right? Throw a threshold in there, or you have to use levels. So rather than using this posterize initially, we want to throw, say, let's try levels in here. So as I play with levels, see what happens? So we still have that posterize effect, but we're using levels and we're getting sort of like that different, just like a different depth of color, okay? So this is just one way to kind of control the posterization rather than just dealing with this one slider that only has 3 colors. Actually, I take that back. I don't know what 3 even means. Because guess what? There are more than 3 colors in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 colors in there. Ooh, I even like this one. So anyways, you use levels to control it, right? That's how we're able to kind of get... We even have her eyes as well with that blue. So, yeah, go figure. Oh, curves are your friend. I'm into curves. I'll try a number of these. Like, usually we have people that are fans of curves or levels. You usually start, I feel like you start this way. You start with brightness and contrast, and then you kind of work your way down. I'm going to go back into threshold. And here's threshold. Okay. So whichever method we're using, we're still getting this like graininess. How can we get rid of this graininess? I mentioned smudge, but there's some things we could do maybe ahead of this that might help. Okay. How can we kind of clean up the image before we jump into sort of crushing everything down to just a couple colors? So what we could do is we take this image and try to get rid of, and she already has super smooth skin, but try to get rid of any of this graininess, as much of it as possible. So I would go into unsharp mask, right? Let's try this. Deep res. No, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into neural filters because my whole goal is just to smooth the skin. So let's go into neural filters and see what we have there. Skin smoothing. Thank you very much. Turn that on. Boom. Right, it's processing now. Let's blur that out. Is it even blurring her skin? Or is her skin so smooth to begin with? But basically, here's where we started, and here's where we ended up. Kind of like smoothing out our skin. So that might help with the transition of colors or whatever. So, anyways, that's all I've done. Oh yeah, sure, let's do that. Let's crank it all the way up. There she is, nice and smooth. Now let's see just how it affects like the sort of posterize. It's still gonna have those like grainy lines, but you know, it's not too chaotic. Camera raw. Oh, good call, Kent. Into it. Good point. Camera raw would be perfect thing to do as well. But I'm into this right here. I think this is cool. Okay, you ready for this destructive method I'm about to do? Would the chrome filter help? I don't know, PJ. That's a great question. I have no idea. But I'm willing to try it. Chrome. Oh, that's what Chrome does, but let's click OK. There you go. That's still kind of cool though, right? A little too chaotic for what I'm looking for. Here's where we're at. Okay. So, for those of you who know Illustrator, I could jump into Illustrator, do the same thing, right? So you would trace image, smooth it out, all that stuff. We kind of don't have that in Photoshop, but we can go ahead and take all of this, merge them into one destroyed image, and then what I would do is like, yeah, go and grab like the smudge tool. So this is just fun to play with, but now we can kind of have some fun. Oh shoot, this is way off. Oh man, dang it. Doesn't matter. My Wacom tablet's not calibrated. But just, I'm jumping in here. I'm using this smudge tool to kind of smudge the lines. You could use blur, but I think blur is just too slow. Smudge seems to do what I want. So just kind of come in there, and we can start to smudge that around to get rid of those lines and just add these smooth lines and nice transitions in between the two. Also, take a look at the strength. That's like cranked up to 74. Let's drop it down to 60. And I wish there was a way to... I wish there was smoothing for the smudge tool. I don't know. I'm just trying out this look. Maybe it's working. Maybe it isn't. Kind of makes it look like a little bit like a painting. But, you know, I don't... You know, I want the control to make sure I keep like some of the eyes sharp and stuff like that. Smart blur and curves adjustments. Yeah, it's good. I could try that. Thing is, I don't like some parts I want smoother than others, so that's why I'm kind of manually doing this. Plus I still have 20 minutes. Just joking. That's why I'm doing this manually. Just joking. But like right in here, I wouldn't want to sharpen this too much. You know, I want to kind of keep those details. And we just get to paint and have some fun. Right in here, do you notice there's this little, check this out. There's this little button, finger painting. So we can turn that on. Now I will sample this yellow color. And what should be happening is it should actually be putting a little bit, whatever color's in your foreground, that's the color that it's going to start smudging with. So it's like your fingers are a little bit dirty with yellow. Right? So this is what you get. You get kind of that sort of look. Which again, might work for some of these spots right here. So like give me a little bit of smudgy color there, right? Or maybe a little bit of yellow right in here. As you can see, that's kind of what it's doing. Cool. And that is the finger painting. I'm going to turn that off. And yeah, we're creating art. Has a Susie and the Banshees look to it. Oh, I love that old school reference too. Is that a cover art that you're thinking of? I wonder if we went into sharpen as well. Kind of curious. Yeah, we can go in and use sharpen to kind of sharpen up those lines too. All right, how is everybody doing this fine Friday? Tell me a story. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Rick, you nailed it. That's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to have the face smooth. That's why some of these global filters are only going to get me so far. I wanted some parts smooth and with the skin, obviously, and then make sure her hair is nice and crispy and all that fun stuff. Right, we can add some drama, kind of cut that up like that. Keeping in mind human anatomy, I'm not trying to give her an Adam's apple here. Just a fun way to paint. And yeah, no, I have not heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Is that a Star Wars reference? Today is a day full of masterclasses. I think we have... let me take a peek right down here. Oh yeah, T. White. Coming up right after me. Ooh, hot rodding Photoshop. That's right. Hot rodding Photoshop. Or like tricking out Photoshop. I love it. That's huge. Right? Sort of setting up Photoshop to really to be optimized for your workflow is awesome. A lot of shortcuts. I'd use a lot of shortcuts. Cool. I like this. I think this is working, yeah? Cool. Let's turn this off. I have this background color. Let's smudge this kind of out of there. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the background color? Should I change it? I don't know. I don't know. So let's take this, because we want this to be pop art. let's say, for instance, we want to add like a burst or some patterns in the background. Right, so that's my next step. So I'm going to go to canvas size. We're going to give her a little more room over her head. Let's change the canvas size. There we go. Okay, this is why I love using color fills and gradient fills. It's always going to extend out to cover the whole canvas. But let's say we want to add some pop art elements now. Okay, we can go into, say, the polygon tool. Check this out. This is brand new too. Polygon tool. That's what we're still, or triangle for that end. Actually, let's try both. It's been a minute, so let's just go with polygon and draw this out. This is typically what we get when we have like a polygon. But what we could do in here is we get all these properties, and all this stuff is brand new. So we could change this from 5 sides and crank it up to 21 sides. And then what we could do is we could actually adjust right in here. Change this from sort of having these straight angles to more of a star burst, right? So I'm going to crank that down, and what happens when I crank that down? Right, we get this like burst, like so. Okay, so, and again, maybe I want to change this from, down to 4. I don't know, 14. We'll play with it. The cool thing is this is a live shape, so I can mess with this all day long, and I will always have the ability to change the number of points. So let's just resize that. Big burst. Shapow. Right behind her. Like that. And again, we still have that ability. Let's take the inside. Let's see if this works. I actually don't know what this is. Oh, that's the stroke. That's actually exactly what I wanted. I wanted to throw some black in there. Now we have that that burst. And let's see what else we got. Rounding the corners. Yeah, not so much. But yeah, isn't that cool? Boom. Shapow. Right? Yeah. I'm a little bit conflicted about having this stroke here, by the way. Like, the thing is, I haven't introduced any outlines. So why am I introducing an outline when it comes to these graphic elements? It kind of conflicts with the style. So yeah, I'd probably just like keep that as is, like so. And maybe give her a cool name, right? And what are you guys saying? Wonder Woman. Oh, people are talking Wonder Woman. That's cool. I'll take it. I get it. Let's take this. Let's do some smudging right in here. It's like, just kind of tuck that in. Let's kind of tuck that back in. That part was like a little distracting to me. Right, and actually maybe it should be sharp. So again, we can jump in, sharpen, jip, 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 jip. Crank it up. There we go. Sharpen up those parts. Okay. Let's give her a name. Not Wonder Woman, but we want to have like a 70s kind of like pop art name. So we'll get into type. What I'm thinking is, I don't know. She kind of looks like a Gloria to me. Gloria. All right. Let's type that in. Give it a stroke. So let's give this definitely a stroke. Maybe sort of a 3D look would be super cool. Maybe add dots to take it more. Yeah, I thought about that. Mike, I already did that twice, like with the previous 2 pieces. So, I mean, I could, but I'm also like over that. There we go. Gloria. She look like a Gloria? Farrah Wonder. Okay, so it's going to have that fun look to it, like it's kind of flowy and kind of popping out. Since that's text with that selected, right up at the top, we have sort of create warped text. Right in here, we'll change this to like rise. Whoa, hello. Gloria. So there we have that. Now, I still want to kind of burst out. Maybe there's multiple colors. Maybe there's multiple drop shadows. This may look cool. It may be super lame. But I kind of want to create a pop art style using layer styles. Okay, so this is just something we're going to play with. Then we're going to save it to our graphic styles panel. And geez, I only have 5 minutes. Drop shadow. Boom. Crank it all the way up. Normal. Let's take a look over here. Changing the color just so we could see it. Blue. Right, we can start to see it over there, but let's just like adjust the distance. Take the size all the way down. And right over here, can't you click? What am I doing wrong? Aren't you able to kind of click and move this around? I thought I was able to click and move this drop shadow, but maybe not. Anyway, we'll adjust like so and do something like that. So there we go. We have blue. Add a second drop shadow. So that is like, say, the first one's going to be 40. The second one is going to be 80 in green. Boom. Right? We can add as many of these as we want to. 120. Yellow. Ba-ba. Orange. Yeah, pink, why not? 160. Yeah, there's orange. So I don't know. It's a little spaced out. But you get the idea. I don't know, just playing with things. The cool thing about this, by the way, because this is what I wanted to do, is I want to go to my graphic styles. Now they're down to my last couple minutes. Or just styles, as it's known. It's graphic styles in Illustrator. I probably already have, I do have one of these already in here. But we can go ahead and add that as whatever, style 12, sure. There it is. But now that that's done, I can go to this polygon, or I could have a heart. So we'll grab a heart from our custom shape tool. On down, let's grab, where's the heart? Heart, there it is. You know, whatever. Here's our heart. And click, and we have that one like so. Let me go ahead and cheat and make that a smart object and then flip it horizontally, right? And we could have all these fun elements, whatever, doing their thing. You get the idea. Fun, easy enough. Still not crazy about that outline. Again, I can always go in there because once I add it, I could always change it. So I could turn off that stroke, save that, close it. And then we have like this. I don't know. Just playing around, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed today. You learned how to create some fun pop art. The last thing I'm going to do is just crop this so we have all of our gorgeous pieces. 3,200. Okay. There we are. the 3 that we've made today. Pop art portrait style. We did the thing, guys. We did the thing. Look at us. I think we did some good work, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And thank you so much for just hanging out with me on this fine Friday. Hopefully you guys get the idea. Super fun making this work, so hopefully you're into it. So thank you so much. Carol, Stoney, what's up? Stoney, good to see ya. Yes, Robert's in the house. Hopefully everybody's into it. I see Michelle over there. Thank you for all the kindness. And just making sure I didn't miss anybody. If you're joining me over on YouTube, hop over to behance.net/Adobe Live. We got Terry White up next. Hot Rod in Photoshop. So I'm going to be creeping on his channel, creeping on that stream. It's going to be super fun. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate you. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.